Well, really, I am just here to say thank you. Thank you for this incredible report, Fueling Agriculture Biofuels as a Catalyst. And as I was thinking about coming to visit with you, one of the very first things I learned as a policymaker about agriculture in Minnesota was when I first became chief of staff for the governor and then lieutenant governor. And I learned about the power of value-added agriculture as a way of keeping more money in farm communities in the United States, in Minnesota. And so what you're doing today with this is really, to me, sort of connecting with the absolutely most biggest opportunity that we have for value-added agriculture. I have long been a strong supporter of biofuels and ethanol. This is a way for us to get cleaner energy, renewable energy, lower cost energy, and to create homegrown pathways for cutting costs and keeping economic opportunity here in the United States and here in my home state of Minnesota. You know, I am part of a great bipartisan coalition of senators with Senator Klobuchar and the North Dakota and South Dakota senators, all the senators in the upper Midwest that understand so well what an opportunity this is for our farmers. And especially as we are sitting here in a moment where it is a rough road to hoe, as my grandmother used to say. It is a tough time in agriculture. We are seeing, I think, an agricultural system that is, kind of maybe more fundamentally out of whack than what we have typically seen with sort of cycles that go up and down. We have a need to boost demand for commodity crops. We have a need to figure out steps that we can take to bring down the input costs that farmers are experiencing, which is meaning that way too few farmers are actually able to see a way through to making a profit this year. And so putting a big emphasis on how biofuels and ethanol, all biofuels, can kind of be a path forward to a new structural a new structure for agriculture is just really exciting. I'm very glad to see it. And I want to just emphasize something, which is that traditionally in the Senate, agriculture, broadly speaking, and biofuels as well has been a bipartisan issue. I talk with the majority leader, John Thune, about this all the time. In fact, just a couple of, last week we were talking about how we want to work together to try to get year-round E15 done. And that is, we have to hold on to that in a moment where, honestly, a lot of what happens in Congress is way too divisive. This is, I think, a place where we ought to be able to find some common ground. We are making headway here. It is sometimes hard to see it, but reports like you are putting out here is just so important for kind of lifting us all out of the day-to-day and helping us see what we actually can accomplish. I've learned so much from Minnesota producers about the power of biofuels and ethanol and sustainable aviation fuel and all the opportunities that we have, and I want to really help make sure that those opportunities are a reality. So thank you so very much to everybody, especially any Minnesotans that are in the room. It's wonderful. They're waving at me. This is a very Minnesota thing to do. It's like, hi, I'm here. Yeah. I also just want to add that, I will be leaving the Senate at the end of this year. I will be retiring, and as will Senator Klobuchar. So you'll have two new Minnesota senators to break in, let's say, on these big issues. But I want to just follow with a personal thanks to everybody who has been, I've had a chance to work with in this room, who've been such a huge help to me as I've really learned so much about what makes agriculture tick in my state and in the Midwest and really all throughout the country, and really helping me to understand how opportunities around biofuels are really kind of the kernel for what we can do when we work together. So just a huge thanks, everyone. And I appreciate the invitation to be with you for a few minutes. Thanks a lot.